So we thought we'd talk about a few things today. We have something really cool actually to share with you guys. If you're in the T-shirt revolutionaries group, you already know all about this because you were our beta testers. But we have something kind of cool to show everyone else. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about merch. Because Isaac and I are now official merch gurus. Do you feel like a merch guru, Isaac?
Okay,
Isaac's a Photoshop guru. Really.
I like Photoshop.
So we've been doing this T-shirt revolutionaries class, which has just turned out to be epic. We thought we would do a very short class on making T-shirts, on merch, and we started off with, okay, we'll do 3 classes. Three classes sounds like a good course. I will talk about creativity, coming up with great T-shirt ideas, coming up with jokes and puns and slogans and all the creative stuff like that, niche research, finding your audience, all of that. And I'll just stick that in a class, and that'll be one little class. And then you can talk about Photoshop and like cool ways graphic design, how to do all the fancy stuff like the curved text and the cutouts and all of the cool stuff you do.
Originally I just wanted to talk about design, like from an art school perspective. And,
right. So this was how it goes. So I would do the sort of creativity thing. Isaac would do Photoshop, and then we'd have a marketing class. And so it'd be 3 classes, and that would be pretty much what you need to know to get going with merge. And it just kind of exploded. Like if look, I'm looking at the screen share here, and I'm like, it totally exploded because we ended up. So I did the creativity class, which ended up after it was edited, it came down to about 2.5 hours. So that's in 2 parts there, and we talked about all those things. And then Isaac did See Like an Artist, which just turned out to be one of the most incredible classes on art and graphics I have ever seen. Like everyone who watched it was like, oh my gosh, this is like a college course in an hour or in an hour and a half. It was pretty amazing. So Isaac did that, and we did the marketing, and then we just added in a whole bunch of other things. And Isaac ended up making a Photoshop course as well. So you've got your graphics course there, the See Like an Artist. That's the sort of general design class. And then you ended up adding like a whole Photoshop course to this. So there's like 4 hours of Photoshop.
Yeah.
That was amazing, Isaac. Yeah. And it's all broken down into all the cool tips and tricks. And, there's people in the group who have now taken this and they're like, wow, I finally understand Photoshop. I've tried so many times to get Photoshop and to understand it. And there's people who are brand new who've just bought it and they are rocking their designs. So I'm blown over by Isaac's Photoshop course. But we did a bunch of extra things. We put in sort of an over-the-shoulder walkthrough where I make a shirt, I list it, set it up. We've got staying safe. We talk about trademarks, copyright, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, like all of these things, DMCA, all of these things we talk about in there. And we've got the design toolbox with me, where I basically do all the design stuff for people who don't want to do Photoshop.
Everything but Photoshop.
I do everything but Photoshop. So it's like Canva and Sketchio. So even PicMonkey. We've talked about PicMonkey. I've done some with that.
Yeah, I've spent the past several years trying to teach Photoshop to Catherine. She knows a little bit of it, but for some reason, she prefers to do things outside of Photoshop. I think you get like a kick out of it or something.
Yeah, it's kind of a challenge. I'm like, okay, is there an easy way to do? Like, is there a way to do this that doesn't involve Photoshop? So it kind of worked out. Yeah. That I do all of the Canva and all the fun stuff, and you would do photo. I think some of it, like, because I used to like program and I used to code, and I think I sort of made this mental swearing to myself that I wouldn't go back to being a coder. I was sort of done with that. Yeah. And I think in my head, maybe mentally, I boxed Photoshop in with that.
Is this complicated technical
tool? Just like,
tool?
I'm not a techie person anymore. That's not me. So
it's overwhelming when you open it up and you're like, there's too many things to do.
But you may, I don't know. I'm seeing everyone in the course watched it and they're just like, wow, I didn't know anything about Photoshop, and now I've got it. So we're adding some more things to this as well. Next week, actually, we're editing it at the moment. We are adding how to set up a web store for your t-shirts as well. So that is really, really cool. If you want to sell off Amazon or away from Amazon, you want to build your own brand. And that's something we've been, next step. We've really been talking a lot about with t-shirts as well, is what's the next step after merch? Where do you go after merch? Is it all just about sort of putting up as many random designs as you can, or can you also build a brand with this? And I think like our direction for next year is definitely in brand building, like setting up your whole brand, setting up your whole business. And we've been talking things like, and you know, it doesn't have to be super complicated to have a brand. And it's funny because we were talking video games the other day in the t-shirt course, and I saw they had plush toys of the Slitherio snakes. Like, so Slitherio is just this game, or Slitherio. Right. It's just a phone game with snakes. It's basically a rehashed version of Snake. And they made a plush snake, which just is hilarious because it's just a snake and it's just a snake game. So making a brand isn't this big complicated thing. And one of the things we talked about in T-shirt Revolutionaries is how to create a character that people will like, how to actually put something on your shirts that is the start of a brand, something that that is very unique to you. And the great thing about this is once you start having intellectual property and IP, like a brand, like copyrights, like copyrighted material, images, all of those things, then you actually have way more than just a merch account. Then you really have the start of a business. So we're adding that to this. We're adding how to set up a web store into the course. And I'm also doing a class on public domain, probably next week, that we'll add into this. So we've got 13 hours of content up there so far. We're about to add another, I think probably about an hour, 2 hours with the web store tutorial. And then we're going to add a public domain class as well. So it's just grown. It's like literally exploded. But that wasn't actually what we were going to talk about. It just kind of went that way. Oh, I've got to turn my volume down because I'm breaking the internet. There we go. Hi, Tina, we miss you too. I would love for you to come and join us as well. Yeah, that would be super awesome. So if you guys are interested in coming over to T-shirt Revolutionaries, it's at shirtrev.catherine.com, and you can sign up for it right now and get in on all of this. There's 2 more classes that are going to be added to this soon. So just loads and loads of information on there. So what we actually were going to talk to you about today is trademarks. Because I think trademarks are one of the most complicated, awful, challenging, nightmare things about merch. And there's a big problem because I feel in some ways like no one 100% understands what merch are doing. But as much as we can ascertain, merch do not like trademarks that are for clothing. If someone has registered a trademark for clothing, usually it's a no-go. Now, I say usually because there's some weirdness around this. For example, the words black and pink are registered trademarks for clothing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Black and pink. So if you say this is a black shirt, technically that's someone else's trademark. Now, I'm a rebel. I've used the word black and pink in my t-shirts and it's been fine. I've used other words that are trademarked and it's been fine. What I tend to do is I make it very clear in my bullet points that I am not referring to someone else's trademark, that I'm not infringing on a trademark, that I'm referring to a public domain concept. But I'm a rebel and I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm going to use my merch account. I'm going to do what I want. But a lot of people don't use any trademarks because they like have 1,000, 2,000, 8,000 shirts listed, and they really don't want to do anything to risk their merch account.
It's a challenge. I mean, having to keep up on trademarks and figuring out what's allowed and not allowed. I mean, you're like
right. So you kind of have to do some risk assessment on it. I mean, for me, I'm willing to take a chance. I want to upload some shirts and I will take a chance on some trademarks. Now, where you have to be really careful are things like I mean, anything Disney, if it even comes close to Disney. I know early on you made a shirt about Black Widow spiders.
Yeah, I figured it was fine. I mean, it's a Black Widow spider. It's, you know, everyone.
You got us a rejection, Isaac. You got us a bad rejection for using the words Black Widow.
I probably could have fought it.
This was like this is when merch started.
About a year ago.
It was over a year ago.
Knuckleheaded things I did. Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. It's okay. So anyway, a lot of people prefer to not use any trademarks, especially trademarks that are trademarks for clothing. Yeah. And the other thing is there are trademark trolls, and this is a big problem. There's a lot of people who are registering trademarks just to complain to Amazon and get people knocked off listings. So things like this girl likes blah, blah, blah. Someone registered the phrase this girl to just sort of knock everyone else off. So it's like Amazon have this auto check where they check for infringement, but then if someone complains, then they'll go and say, okay, you don't own this trademark, and they'll usually side with the person who owns the trademark. So what you can do to check whether there is a trademark is you can go to USPTO, that's the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and you can search their system, which is called TESS. Now, this is kind of boring, but we have something cool to show you in a minute. So bear with us as we show you the boring way to do this. So let's say I am listing a shirt. Here's a shirt that I was listing. And it says, awesome, unique t-shirt with rainbow girl. It's got a picture of a girl with rainbow hair. And I like this phrase, rainbow girl. And let's say we're not sure whether or not we can use this as a trademark. We will go to TESS. And this is the way I do lookups. So I do search trademarks, and I will do word and design mark. And I always do a structured search. So I put the search term in there. You have to hyphenate it if it has more than one word. And I set this to full mark, which is the name of the trademark. And we make that say and. And then I put 025 in the search term here. And that is the goods and services. So what this is doing, this is the term we're searching for. This is whether it's a trademark. This is the full mark. This is the category. So 025 is important because that is the clothing category in USPTO. And then I hit submit query. Oh, hello?
Yeah.
There it goes. Cool. It's not a trademark. That's good news.
That's good news.
Now, I mean, if we go back, what about rainbow? Is rainbow a problem? We can look up rainbow and see if that is a trademark. Uh-oh. So yeah, the word rainbow is actually a trademark. So if you were and it's two kinds of trademarks. So you can actually click here and find out more about it. And indeed, sports vests and scrimmage vests, I wouldn't be too worried about that personally. I would probably list it. Although
why would you say you would list it?
Because it doesn't say shirts, it says sports
vests. So you're looking
vests.
Specifically for shirts?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this one, clothing, men's and women's shoes and sandals. So I would say you're probably okay with this. But I mean, it's everyone's level of risk is kind of different. Some people won't use any trademarks at all, no matter what they're for. So that's my trademark process.
Now, I would like to add, there are other tools and services that do look up trademarks.
It's like Justia, Trademarkia.
Justia, right. And I found one of two things. One, they're either pulling directly from the USPTO database, and it's not like 100% up to date because it's a large database.
They're often a little bit behind.
And then also I found other ones that are just really just
they're just giving
off.
Weird
if
information.
You compare it with USPTO and their data, it's like night and day.
Right. So what we did, so we looked at this and people were like, okay, that's great, Catherine. It works. That's the search I want to do. But it's a slow process. So we put Isaac to work. Actually, it came from him. It was your idea.
Yeah. Well, we ran into issues. So I've been making a ton of shirts, and usually what I'll do is I'll make a shirt and send it to Catherine, and then she would set up the listing for me. Just that's kind of what has been our process.
So I do the keywords and the
right. And the problem is that she's been making her own shirts too, so she doesn't have time to post my shirts.
Oh, and running a few groups.
We do all kinds of stuff. So
teaching a course.
Right. So all right. I'm gonna get my hands dirty with the keywords and everything. And so I've been using the USPTO site because it's the only one I trust. I know. I mean, that is the source.
Right. It's like going to the source.
Right. And so I was getting frustrated having to fill out that form every time. And
yeah,
so
it's kind of a pain.
And so this is how this came about.
So you made this. So let's show everyone what it does. So I'm setting up my listing here for this t-shirt, and I see, okay, here's our phrase, Rainbow Girl. So what I can do is I can just do a right click, and now we have this magic thing called the TESS trademark search. And if I click this, whoops, there it is in the screen up there. Let me move my camera over there. There's the search. We're just going to hit search, and it takes us directly to TESS, and it does the search for you. So you don't have to type all of that stuff in there. You can just go and click it. And if we want to go back, you can actually do another search right in here. So you can put rainbow, and we'll just search for rainbow, and it does exactly the same search. So it's cool because I know there's a lot of people who are worried about extensions. There's been a lot of bad publicity for Chrome extensions in the past, especially like yesterday. There was a whole fallout over Chrome extensions.
Yeah.
You can see exactly what this one
does.
It's
nothing magical. It just
what? You told me it was magical.
It's awesome. I've been using it. It's functional. It's very functional.
Would you trust a guy with green hair? Anyway, so that's it. We put together this little tool like Isaac wrote it. So there's no outsourcing. There's no third-party developers involved with this. There's nothing weird going on behind the scenes. It's literally, it does what you see on the screen, which is it runs a check on USPTO for the 025. And the really cool thing, guys, is that it is free.
Yes,
it's free. We're going to give it to you. We did put a pay what you want on it, so we've put it on Gumroad. It's right here on Gumroad.
You can post that on Facebook.
Yeah, I got to go back to the Facebook page. Where are you guys? There you are. So it's right here. I'm going to paste it in there. So it's gumroad.com/L/TessCheck. I wish they didn't have that L. It kind of ruins the URL. But it's right here. You can go and download it. If you want it for free, you can just put a 0 in there. If you like take pity on Isaac and you want to buy him some fresh hair dye, or you'd like to buy us an ice cream, that would be very nice of you. We put a suggested price of $10. But that's a suggested price. If you want to give us, if you have lots of money and you want to give us lots of money, then that would be lovely. If you want to give us $5, that's fine. If you want to give us $2, $1, that is really nice of you.
Say what you want.
But you can put 0 in there if you want, and just use it for free, because we think it's awesome, and it will save you time, and it will be it will just make your whole trademark checking process
makes the process that
a lot
much
quicker.
better.
Yeah, I'm using it. Like
I mean,
crazy.
if you're not using trademark lookup and you're selling on merch, start
That's
using
scary
trademark.
time.
Right.
Yeah,
start looking up trademarks.
Yeah, look up trademarks some way at least.
And if you are doing it, hopefully, this will speed up the process.
Yeah, so I said I'd talk briefly about selling your shirts as well, and just selling in general, because I noticed a lot of people like in every forum on everything, FBA and shirts and books and everything people are selling. They're like, oh no, how do I get more sales? It's Q4. Why haven't the masses arrived at my listing and bought everything that I've ever made? I think one thing is that Q4 really gets going in November. Yeah, like I think we've noticed that each year. It's like you really get that pickup.
We're just like at the
November.
start. And
yeah, Well, I think if you've got Halloween stuff up now, like I've got Halloween stuff's doing great. If you've got Halloween stuff, now is usually a peak, and we usually have a good peak before Halloween. But I think people really start buying for Christmas after Halloween. So yeah, but one thing that really got me thinking, and especially looking at that Sony story about the fake tourist, was I was really thinking about how do you bring people to your listing? Because I feel like what happens, a lot of people just sit back and go, oh, no one's looking at my listing, no one's buying my stuff. And it's the same on every platform, and I see it in every group, like, oh no one's buying my stuff. And so my question is, well, if people aren't coming to you, then take your stuff to the people. Like, who wants to buy your thing? And I read this book. Oh my gosh, this lady was talking about her experience of selling books to cruise lines. And do you know what she did? This was so clever. So she writes children's books, and she writes them with like a nautical theme. And she said the thing with cruise ships, they want to buy stuff that is sea or ship themed.
Oh, okay.
So think about this. If you're making t-shirts or books, think about this. What could you do? Like, for example, you could do public domain maps.
Mm-hmm.
You could do like nautical maps. You can get, I think there's like the Department of Oceanography that has a whole bunch of vintage maps.
Oh, yeah.
So you could like curate maps into a book or onto a shirt or whatever you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what she does is she makes sort of children's books about the sea and about ships. And then she goes on LinkedIn and she finds the retail buyers from cruise lines
on LinkedIn
using LinkedIn.
Oh,
she looks up
genius.
buyers for cruise ships and sells it. And then her books ended up, I think she sold like 80,000 books.
Oh, yeah.
Primarily through cruise ships. And I think she did airports as well. She did airport gift shops. So there are so many places to get people interested in, like the question is, I mean, first of all, it's niche research. And this is something I've been talking about a lot in T-shirt revolutionaries, that the way you research markets is kind of the same way you sell to markets. Like you're looking at what people are interested in. You've got to sort of be looking at Facebook or Reddit or Tumblr
any place
or
people gather.
Pinterest. Like you're looking for those, you're looking to see what people are into first of all, but then you kind of have to take your idea back to them. And I also like this idea of sort of reverse engineering your process. So you actually create products targeted to a certain audience, like subscription boxes. Like this is something we just talked about in the marketing class. Like I think that's such a genius idea. Going through a site like Cratejoy and looking at the different subscription boxes and saying, maybe I can make a t-shirt tailored to a particular niche of subscription box. Like if someone has a subscription box all about beards and it's all just beard oil and like beard nets and beard hats and bows and whatever you put in your beard, you could make a beard t-shirt and then pitch it to the subscription. Like people are like, well, I don't want to go out on the streets and I don't want to go and talk to restaurants and sports teams and schools. I don't like talking to people. But you could fire off a few emails through LinkedIn or through Cratejoy. It's amazing
what you can accomplish with emails.
So there's a lot of ways to market your stuff. So I thought that would be kind of cool. And I mean, you can use Tangent for the niche research as well. Like we've been, oh my gosh, we've been using Tangent like crazy to find cool niches for your shirts. And guys, Christmas is coming up and Tangent is loaded with Christmas niches and Hanukkah niches. Oh my gosh, I love these. So for me, I've done Hanukkah wrapping paper, like gift wrap.
Oh yeah.
And that has been huge on Amazon. When I've sold that on Amazon, that has done so well for me. And you can just find like all these cool niches in here, like Hanukkah pajamas. How cool is that? You could go on to like there's like Artsad. That's the website I'm really big on at the moment is Artsad, the print on demand. But there's like Redbubble and Zazzle, all these places you can get things made, and you can do the on demand method and put them onto Amazon or Amazon Custom.
Yeah.
So really, really cool. You know what else I like in here? I'm going to just share this with everyone who's watching, because if they've stuck with us, then it's a nice thing. This is like one of my favorite things we've done is the different spellings, the most common spellings of Hanukkah. So what people look for, and that is the best spelling.
That's the best way to spell it.
I've never been sure who looks up Jewish Christmas.
Jewish Christmas. That's like an oxymoron.
Right. So apparently people do search for Jewish Christmas. Yeah, I mean, we have the niche machine. The niche machine's now at 18,000 niches. So, I mean, I know there's people... I think there's a lot of people now who are trying to do like sort of lists of niches. Yeah. But we had the original one. We put together the niche machine back for Sky Tools about 2 years ago. 2 years ago
when we launched our Create course. Yeah.
And we actually added a bunch of stuff just for T-shirt revolutionaries. So we put sort of popular words, popular cliches, slogans. Like this is one of my favorites, the positive words. It has just all the best, like if you need a word for your t-shirt, like you want to do world's best mother, you can go through this and do world's most angelic mother. Capital mother. That's a very British word. She's capital.
What does that mean? What's capital?
You know, people, it's like a...
But seriously, I've never heard that term before.
People used to say that. They'd be like, they'd be like, shall we go on a picnic? Oh, capital idea. But it's like posh British. It's like sort of not like me. It's like... Is
that like putting the in front of something to make it sound more epic?
What the?
Right, like instead of like Catherine, the Catherine.
The Catherine.
Right.
No.
No. Okay, so what is capital? I'm not catching this.
It means kind of like amazing or wonderful.
Oh, okay.
I don't use capital. It's a weird word. But optimum mother. I am the optimum mother.
Yes.
World's optimum mother. But you didn't see what it does. I mean, like, there's literally hundreds of words in here that are like the
incredible,
best.
fabulous,
wonderful, enhancing, charismatic, invaluable,
solid,
seducing. That's
appealing.
I don't think you want world's most seducing mother.
Hey, Mom, got you a gift.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know what we were talking about. Let's just see if there's any questions or anything. How is everybody doing? Oh, you're all so quiet. Why is everyone so quiet? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this little demo of our TessCheck, the trademark checker, and that you'll give it a go and let us know how you get on with it. And also, like, come and join us in T-shirt revolutionaries. If you're doing merch, if you're doing any kind of print on demand, then you will enjoy this course. It's really, really out of the box, and it's not like I know there's a lot of merch information out there. We don't focus so much on the merch information. We cover the basics of merch, but we really give you everything you need for creativity. Like 13 hours of content so far, and it is growing. So yeah, join this course if you are at all interested. Okay, guys, have a great weekend. Hope you are having fun, whatever you are doing, whether you are making things, whether you are treasure hunting, whether you are selling. Hopefully you are all selling many wonderful things. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Bye.